Alright, so the broken bridge, shimmering in the East River, at night casts a haunting, beautiful reflection. Despite witnessing countless global spectacles, there's an uncanny allure there, the flow of headlights. It reminds me of souls embarking on their eternal quest to Mag Meal. Hard to pinpoint why, really, although it might be about the company soon to join me. I'm on a boat! I wish I were able to immerse myself in this scene. I truly appreciate it, but tonight is not the night. So, we're gonna see, we're on Veritra's cruise ship right now. I see myself as a patient man, unbothered by impulses, scornful of fleeting whims. Hell, I actively fight against those very ideas every second of my own life, with reason as my guide, resolve as my sword, and my ring as my shield. And I'm accustomed to waiting here, on the deck of this opulent ship, where I'm expected to feel put into my place, to earn her precious time. Veritra, say what you think, say what you might. Those in the city wronged by her certainly do not mince words, knows very well how to maneuver power dynamics under constant pressure. The lesser player waits, while those in control choose when and where to make their appearance. And so, I wait. Normally, it wouldn't bother me. I know what paltry regard she has for me, but I am due elsewhere in half an hour, and this delay is making it impossible to be in Queens on time. The very idea of being late vexes me to the core, not only because I detest tardiness and being reprimanded for it, but also because it is hardly unbecoming of my position among the upper echelons of New York City. My role as a mediator between the Anarchs and Camarilla might seem superficial, empty perhaps, but this position was thrust upon me, scornfully I might add. It's better to play along and show them what their disdain is hardly enough to undermine my resolve. I am shaken out of my reverie by the sound of soft, clacking footsteps on the deck. It seems she has deigned to grant me an audience. Greetings, Vitra. She doesn't respond at first, slowly sizing me up, clearly enjoying my unease. She's the only person in whose presence I feel self-conscious about my perpetual slouch. Not that it matters. Even if I stood upright, she would still tower over me, like the mythical demon from whence she got her name. Forgive me for prying, but I am already late for the council meeting. Is there a particular reason you've delayed me, put me at risk of arousing their suspicions? Veritra's face remained cold and inscrutable, except for the corner of her lips, stretching minutely to a half-smile. There is a reason behind everything I do, dear boy, and as you know perfectly well. Shouldn't a fashionably late arrival at Elysium diminish your perceived threat? No, it makes me look like a despised scatterbrain could hardly pose any danger to the ivory tower, yes? Now, tell me, is there anything you would like to share regarding the council? She read my mind. I want to answer her, but suddenly I can hear the echoing voice in my mind. Spiller, tell on them, lad. My hands instinctively seeks out my dice ring and spins it violently. You're nothing to them. Yeah, fuck 'em, boy. Fuck all of them. In a hand, it lands on the 20, and the clamor in my head stops. Thank God. I straighten my back just a little. Spying on the council for you is not part of our agreement. I am not one of your pawns in this game. Surely you can get all the information you need elsewhere. She just smirks and stares at me unblinkingly, with her unnerving, unmoving eyes. As much as I try to be stern, I'm not delusional. I know she could be easily forced anything she wanted out of me, but she probably won't. First, she wouldn't want to break her toy, especially one with so much potential. Second, since I have revealed nothing so far, she clearly must have another source of intel, but I have no idea where, despite my short private investigation of the matter. We stand in a prolonged, tense silence with Veritra simply watching. Has the voice manifested again recently? I nod. I just nod. Tell me, It is a command, not a request. Thankfully, it's one I'm glad to follow. Forgive me, but it was all rather convoluted. I thought fragments about the price of pursuit, the asking, and the shadow of the day star. But I do know what any of that means. I do not know what any of that means. She nods to herself, her eyes still locked with mine, until I can't help but avert my gaze onto the immense pressure. Then, surprisingly, for the first time tonight, it is she who turns away, looking thoughtfully to the horizon. And I can feel that rare impatience in me grow fester like a wound. What is the purpose of our meetings if you keep your insights to yourself? Nobody is more surprised at a sudden outburst than myself, but the frustration forced me to move forward, even in spite of Veritra's slowly rising eyebrows. I have to understand the nature of the voice. I need to know why it speaks to me, and why it's different from all the others that I can control. When Veritra faced me again, her eyebrows are relaxed, her lips slightly upturned. All in due time, dear boy. Her grin widens, sending shivers down my spine. In several nights' time, I will gain knowledge beyond your imagination, an insight into the very fabric of our dark world. Oh, she wants to drink the blood. An associate of mine is nearing the end of his task, a task that heralds a new dawn. The end of your quest is nigh, but to that end I have to offer you a new bargain. I will share my knowledge with you, but only if you agree to accept it. I do not remember the sensation of my mouth drying up in excitement, but I assume it resembles closely what I'm experiencing now. I succumb to it. I rein it in. I try to refuse. I rein it in. I have to be careful. It's almost as if I'm Theon on the verge of consuming the salmon of knowledge, blind to the potential fallout. And yet, what are your terms? Worry not, I won't make you go against your beliefs. I just need you to keep the council engrossed in the matters of least importance. I allow myself to feel a small bout of relief and smile a little. That shouldn't prove difficult. The council is already consumed by infighting instead of solving actual problems. Veritra smirks dangerously, showing rows of sharpened teeth. They may well change soon. Very soon indeed. Make sure to steer them away from anything that might hinder my cause. This time, when she turns away with a gentle swish of toll, it's clear that the audience is over. I nod at her and take my leave. Or I'm taken to my leave rather than escorted back to the same rib that brought me here merely an hour ago. As we make our way towards the shore, I stare at the ship a while longer, marveling despite myself. It's a perfect blend of low-key and lavish, always on the move, an impenetrable, inaccessible river fortress. It's no surprise Veritra chose this vessel as her base of operation. The fact that she never leaves his deck shrouds both the ship and the Hudson Dragoness herself in even more mystique. This deliberate aura of mystery has sparked considerable speculation about her nature over the last year and a half. Even though I've been meeting with her regularly of months, she remains largely an enigma to me. Aside from the fact that she must be one of, if not the most formidable kindred on the East Coast. One might think that only fools will deal with the devil, and normally I would concur. But if Veritra holds the key of the answers I've been chasing for the better part of a century... The day stars cometh, Theon! Then I am prepared to walk Theon's path, regardless of the cost. It's funny how the color of the palette is salmon pink compared to orange of Cali. Rebuke at the Elysium. Like the White Rabbit, I am late, dreadfully late, for a very important date at Elysium. all because of Veritra's ostentatious display of power. The Council's growing mistrust of me is going to deepen even more. The usually manageable traffic decides to betray me tonight, tacking on an extra 30 minutes to my journey and pushing my fashionably late arrival into plainly rude territory. In moments like this, I cannot shake the feelings that Veritra is manipulating me, her fingers firmly wrapped around my throat, bending my destiny to her whims as one does a tender young branch. Struggling to put that thought aside, I arrive at the heart hole in a sour mood. The Council has the eerie ability to detect even the slightest hint of stress, which they will exploit with all the subtlety of a ravenous bear mangling its prey. To further compound my irritation, one of Khadir's minions, my usual nemesis, guards the entrance to Elysium with his silent partner by his side.
Kadif, what a surprise! My buddy and I were placing bets on how late you would roll up. Man, if I knew you couldn't care less, I would have doubled that bet easy.
Somehow every word he utters managed to get on my nerve, no matter the topic. I paid him no mind, and suddenly my way to the entrance, when suddenly a firm hand on my chest stops me cold.
You enter on my say-so, trash!
Apologize, like the good boy you are. Let me through.
Ain't no way we're letting you just stroll in there. Gotta show some culture.
You could not spell culture if the letter came in handles. It's amazing how you're not tip over from the sheer weight of ignorance you're lugging around. Now, kindly clear the path, O great paragon of culture, or I'll clear it through you. He steps back with a vacant retraction of his hands and a dumbfounded look. I tip an imaginary hat his way. The slight improves my mood. But the swift, soundless sway of the door to Elysium extinguishes the last flicker of my spirit. I have never harbored an affinity for modern art. It seems too loud, too chaotic, and often excessively abstract for my taste. Perhaps I'm old-fashioned, or perhaps I'm simply too old. Of course, like you've been bitten and during the 40s, you're 100 years old, man. However, I have learned to appreciate the frequent exhibit at the art hall, mostly out of necessity. My participation in discussion among the council members is minimal, so perhaps it was sheer boredom that eased my aversion, if ever so slightly. For instance, now would be an ideal moment to immerse myself in the extensive collection of street art on display, the latest, and for the moment, last exhibit before the gallery is temporarily closed under the pretense of renovation. For the past month, the space has undergone a significant transformation. The cavernous gallery, which used to echo with awe gasps inside by the heart, is now cluttered with equipment. The art hall has been converted into a makeshift command center by the order of Khadir, the local sheriff. And since the deafening silence befell the room the moment I step inside, there is nothing left for me but to look around and wait for the impending rebuke. I would much rather study the art pieces than endure the stern gazes of the council members, each laden with barely concealed disdain.
You must be setting some kind of record, mediator. An hour and a half late.
Khadir scoffs at me. His respect was never mine to claim, and judging by his unyielding expression, that door is now firmly shut. Take it to the chin, cutting short, or stay quiet. Now let's cut it short. I assure you, this will not happen again, Sheriff.
Our dear guest, your friend the Baron of the Bronx has already made amends on your behalf. Quite persistently, I might add. Almost as if he foresaw this mediation role falling to himself.
I should have glanced at Dork. He can play it cool, but knowing him, he's fuming inside.
Your appearances has already thrown us off course. Assume your position, and let's proceed without further interruption, unless you feel the need to mediate that proposition.
I nod, silently feigning remorse. Though there is little need to pretend, I genuinely detest being late.
As I was saying, another group of Duskborn was destroyed last night.
including a few gentry recognized alchemists. The onslaught has only escalated since Larson's final death 2 weeks ago.
Oh, please, Aisling. Larson was not but a laughing stock. I take a seat next to Torque and immediately lean closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that rumbles like distant thunder.
What in the actual fuck, Pádraic? You took forever!
No one here knows about my little trips over the Hudson, not even Torque. It's likely that not even Veritra's closest allies are aware of my involvement with her. That's why I always keep a handy excuse up my sleeve, one that's increasingly easy to concoct these days, though I wish it weren't necessary. Well, I encountered the troublemakers again. I had to clean myself up before coming here.
Damn! How many?
Just a couple of unprepared fanatics. It's hardly an epic tale. I'm just a big vex that they held me up.
And you didn't think to mention it sooner. If anything could get Kadir off your back, it's that.
Come on, Torque. You really believe he will buy that? Torque gives me a good mute understanding before he casts a sidelong glance at Kadir. Given the sheriff's interest in the hunter threat, I suspect he would question me about it rigorously, and I cannot risk losing grip of all my tall tales. Yeah, if you start a lie and your lie is too interesting, they're going to start asking questions, and then you got to pile up more lies, and then at some point you're going to fuck up. And the worst thing that can happen to you is lying to Kadir, if he finds out.
Look, I get that he's nice hard, but you gotta step it up, Pádraic. You're making me look bad in front of the council, and our truce is already hanging by a thread. Fuck that mutt. Who the hell does he think he is?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Continues. I listen on the usual bickering of these meetings, but soon enough my mind began to drift. We're well beyond the administrative stuff, for which I am thankful. That's when I'm usually the least welcome and often pointedly asked to step outside the walls of Elysium. Continue. Still, I have drawn some conclusion about the current power struggle within the local Camarilla. In short, Addison Payne is making a play for Prince Panhard's position as her indecisiveness in the face of the current threats keeping undermining her influence. But that is just the tip of the iceberg, noticeable when, even from far away as my provenience requires me to stand, the root of her problem seems to be continued fallout from Douglas Callahan's final death. Really? Really? From what I can tell, the former Anarch Baron, with whom she had a blood bond, was too deep in a risky game and got burned badly. The attempt to cover it up as a suicide would have succeeded if it hadn't been for Julia Sowinski throwing a wrench in the works. She exposed the scheme, revealing Carter van der Weyden, the former Malkavian Primogen, as the mastermind behind the murder. Somehow it never sat right with me. Knowing the court members better now, I'm fairly certain that Van der Verden was framed. Although, specifically why and by whom remains a mystery. Still, Julia's ascension to the Sombra Primogen appears too swift to be merely a chance. I have a feeling that Valerie has a move in that. Torque has told me only so much, and I choose not to dig deeper, letting bygones be bygones. Oh, but also, what happened to Samira? The Benaquim, the Benakim Primogen. Huh. Sorry. The Banu Hakim, sorry. I always call them the Ben Hakim. It's the Banu Hakim. Torque has told me only so much, and I chose not to dig deeper, letting bygones be bygones. I get the feeling it's a sensitive subject for him, or not from any moral compunction, of course, but because he was somewhat involved in Callahan's demise. That naturally brings me to the conclusion that either he has something on Panhard or vice versa. Otherwise, his presence here wouldn't be accepted, or should I say tolerated, and maintaining the shaky truce between the Camarilla and Anarch would be even tougher these nights. Yet, as Panhard's support continues to erode, strikingly so in the case of Arturo, a man otherwise known only for his long-standing influence on the Prince, Stork's sway is in rapid decline. And then, about 6 months ago, the Hunter anomaly appeared completely out of the blue, setting off a downward spiral. I snap out of these musings only to discover that the topic at hand is entirely related to my thoughts. It's the usual interplay between two factions. Khadir pushes for aggressive actions against the Hunters, while Panhard, belittling the Sheriff's confrontational stance, advocates for dialogue with Veritra, a tactic that's yet to produce any favorable outcomes. Of course, everybody who tried to talk to Veritra never came back. They all died. She wants to negotiate. No, she doesn't negotiate. She takes. She's a dragon. She hoards. This stalemate seems to be stretching on and on. I lean in closer to whisper to Torque. How long has it been going on? Maybe 2 hours? Honestly, I can't even tell anymore. It's endless and fruitless as usual. Suddenly, the bickering halts abruptly, like a knife slicing through the tension in the room. For a brief moment, I worried that I have made my second and likely final mistake of the evening. Fortunately, their glances are directed elsewhere and not at me. Okay, here comes Callie. I wait, hoping someone will break the uneasy silence. Oh. It's Spain. What exactly are you implying, Sheriff? What kind of new deal are we talking about here?
Last night, with Valerie's assistance, we ruled out the possibility that the SAD or any other federal agencies tied to the Secret Inquisition are behind this aggression. Regrettably, whoever's orchestrated their operation remains a mystery.
I must say this hardly qualifies as a lead. It's more like a monumental setback.
Perhaps. However, there has been another development. We suspect that a party from outside New York is involved in the arms trade, directly supplying the Hunters with equipment. The party is a member of the Ravnos clan.
A ripple of unease spread through the room.
How very fortuitous for you, Khadir, to uncover such vital information at such an opportune moment. There was some fortune in how we came upon this intelligence, I admit. Specifically, we accidentally intercepted a shipment filled with firearms. The shipment had almost no traceable marks. The driver, a ghoul, only knew about the intermittent stops and provided no clues about the final recipient.
Sounds like onion rotting to me, honestly, Julia.
Perhaps. But we managed to loosen the driver's tongue enough to force a name out of him. Reynard Castle.
One of us, one of us.
I pay close attention as the room falls quiet. The sheriff milks the silence masterfully, like a seasoned thespian. Even I have to admit, that is impressive.
Our research on Casal suggests that a somewhat obscure con artist and a part-time blood dealer who has specialized in acquiring specific blood resonances. His name has surfaced in a couple of reports over recent years, yet until now his scheme seems irrelevant to our operation.
If this castle has indeed been trading blood beyond our oversight, the circulatory system would certainly be aware of it.
Well, I've got multiple confirmation on that story from different sources. And really, I think ignoring a potential clue just because your drone screwed up their record, Payne, is pretty damn foolish. Considering the scan information available on Castle, based on what we know now, I would say he's quite adept at staying off the grid.
The name doesn't ring a bell. I wonder if Mato knows something about this Ravnos crook. But even if he does, he probably wouldn't talk about it hunting past and all.
In any case, one thing is certain. There is a kindred actively stoking the fires of war by supplying our enemies with military-grade equipment. The evidence we've compiled on Castle might be circumstantial, but when you take a step back, it does add up. I'm convinced that Castle is the key to exposing the brains behind the Hunter movement.
He sounds too good to be true, yet despite my reservation about Khadir, he's usually on point.
Forgive me, Khadir, but all of this sounds like wishful thinking. How does a nobody from somewhere suddenly rise to warlord status, just like that?
Most crucially, why doesn't he be apprehended yet?
We've been on his trail for a couple of nights now, but he continues to elude us. As for his motive, we may be close to uncovering them.
Start with the mystery, Sheriff, and give us something substantial. The way Khadir levels Arturo with a look, I would rather not find myself on the receiving end of this gaze.
We learned that Castle's child recently surfaced in New York. Valerie was tasked with delivering her to the council. She should be escorting her to Elysium as we speak.
You chose not to disclose this because... Arturo's unceremoniously interrupts the prince. I squint at him with surprise. With his sophisticated manners, such uncouth behavior is highly irregular.
What true insight could the child of a trickster possibly offer? Dishonesty is their clan's trade. It's doubtful she knows anything of Castle's scheme, and if she does, she's likely to feed us with lies. That's a remarkably astute observation from you, Arturo. I'm genuinely surprised. However, that's not the reason I'm bringing her in. My plan is to squeeze her until she spills her guts or her cries lures Castle out of wherever he's hiding.
A commotion rises and Panard gets into her feet.
Are you finished weaving your fantasies, Khadir? Because I can't entertain these delusions any longer. We've already lost too much time on this while the true crisis goes unaddressed.
It isn't me who's delusional, Prince. Or should I remind you of your own lapses in judgment?
The bickering erupts once more. I tune it out and lean closer to Torque. Thought sounds bold, but Castle? What do you make of this?
What do I make of this? Give me a break. This is probably the least idiotic strategy we've discussed in months, which really doesn't speak highly of the quality of the ideas thrown around this place. It's a move that might just help us clear up the bastards that's been escalating their attacks on our turf. And it's not just blindly charging into the night looking for clashes the way Khadir loves to.
The front door opens. With a sudden yet graceful swing, it's Valerie, with another kindred in tow. Must be none other than Castle's child. The girl is a peculiar sight. Petite, dressed in what I can only describe as questionably fashionable rags. She scans the room with the eyes of someone calculating her quickest exit. Understandable, given the circumstances. I glance at the council members, but they are too wrapped up in their fervent argument to notice the newcomers. Valerie doesn't seem too eager to interrupt either.
Wouldn't have been such an issue if we had taken action when the signs were so glaringly obvious.
If only the rest of us were blessed with your profound gift of foresight, Sheriff, our life would be a walk in the park. Allow me to emphasize, our risks aren't limited to a single front. Acting on a gut feeling might work wonders in motion pictures. Here, in the real world, it's a different story.
Spare me the pretense of ignorance, Arturo. The pattern was unmistakable well over a month ago. Now...
Little bitch. Bad news is what she is. Liar, 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 liar.
Upon a closer look, Castle's child looks wholly innocuous. Hardly the type you would associate with any kind of hostile activity. But something about her unsettles me. A feeling I can't quite put into words. My ring is spinning before even I acknowledge the need to do so.
Your playful decision to allow the Tin Blood to point Larson as their primogen raises his final debt to a level that can't be casually swept onto the rug, Helen. Tin Blood or not, it throws into questions our grip on the situation.
What would you have me to do then? Unleash our dear sheriff without adequate reconnaissance, just in the name of haste? We can't overlook his excessive efficacy in the last skirmish, can we? Doesn't the prospect of a masquerade breach give you pause?
I sense Stork shifting next to me, his arm brushing mine. He is visibly agitated, the ongoing argument clearly getting under the skin.
I figure we're all fond of keeping things the way they are, but there are times to just sit back and think, And then there's times where you gotta step up and do something bold. This feels like it's the time to make a move.
A non-arc championing chaos, a revelation that somehow fails to astonish, O esteemed Baron of the Bronx. Still another glance at the girl. There's a look in her eyes that suggests she knows that she's at the tight spot, but does she understand the full extent of the game being played around her? And how little importance the player attached to pawns like her. If deception is indeed a hallmark of her clan, she might. Nevertheless, I can't help but feel a twinge of pity for her, aware as I am of the daunting pressure the council can exert.
The asking is yours, Fionn.
Better rip the band-aid off. We will be there all night if we don't steer their focus her way. My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duval has brought forth the issue you mentioned earlier. It might be wise to ensure she is not exposed to unnecessary information.
Yes, thank you for that shrewd observation, KDF.
She hurls those words at me like a snake spitting venom. I wonder would her attitude change if she knew I wasn't truly a caitiff.
Esteemed Council, I give you the troublesome Ravnos neonate. I gather you all desire a swift resolution to this matter. Her disruption have been minimal thus far. Let us hope that trend continues.
Finally, the eyes shift to the matter at hand.
I understand the formal necessity of addressing all this, as well as my role in the matter. However, there are more pressing concerns demanding attention. Far more pressing.
Shall we discard all tradition too while we're at it? We've pirouetted around the Hudson problem for more than a year, yet progress remains as stale as our debate. Certainly, a few additional moments to honor the very laws you spearhead so vigorously couldn't hurt, could they?
The Hudson is a completely different beast, and you're well aware. We will need to address the locust swarm engulfing New York's before Camarillion's entire framework crumbles beneath its weight. And does that sit with you, Payne? That last night 2 Duskborn and a fledgling from your clan were reduced to ashes, and we're still in the dark about who's pulling the strings. Shouldn't that worry you more than policing the purity of the red market?
In principle, I agree, Sheriff. However, should we continue to disregard even minor infraction, we broadcast a message of vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens our effort within and beyond our borders, effort we plan to carry on without interruption once the locust swarm, as you've termed it, is eradicated.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm inclined to agree with Gramps on this one. We can't simply let something like that slip through the cracks without taking proper measures.
So, you've assumed the role of his advocate now? Quite the bold ascent up the ladder of your own making, Julia. What's next on the horizon? Another hostile...
Enough already.
An uneasy silence falls over the room. Everyone automatically slips into their accustomed roles. A month ago, I might have speculated that their actions were purely theatrical, honed through the years of political maneuvering. Right now, I have little certainty. Perhaps they are generally unsettled. When the prince finally manages to speak, her voice lacks the confidence you would anticipate from someone at the helm. I sense she is not just putting on an act.
We're all here for the same reason you are, Aisling. Or am I mistaken and you forget where your loyalties lie? Now let's put this issue to rest here and now. Strive for brevity, Sheriff. Understood. Kali of Clan Ravnos, you stand accused of violating the New York Scamarillus praxis, infringing on the tradition of hospitality, and endangering the masquerade, among other things.
Wait, on what grounds?
Drop the act. There's a wealth of evidence in that recreational vehicle of yours, most of it confirming the suspicions we have been harboring over the recent months. Petty theft from our subject, impersonation of other kindred, lineage forgery, need I go on? But your involvement in large-scale blood and mortal trafficking, outside our scrutiny and the jurisdiction of the circulatory system, is as obvious as it is dangerous to the stability of our domain. Especially which your clientele often brings in direct hostility to our interests,
as Primogen Payne was kind enough to confirm. While some might chalk this up to colossal stupidity, I am neither so forgiving nor tolerant of fraudsters who respect nothing but their own gain.
I settle in, waiting for the drama to unfold. I'm genuinely curious about how this Raven girl will handle the questioning. What intricate web of lies, what complex, multi-layered stories might she spin just to save herself from the council?
This is not the time to be quiet, Raven.
This is total crap. I don't even own that RV. I snagged it on a rental from this Anar guy in the Bronx.
Oh, you did, huh? What are the odds, right?
See? Won't you grill your barren friend over there?
I wince at the blatant lie, shooting Torque a questioning glance, but he just rolled with yellow eyes with impatience. Well, that was an attempt, I suppose. So yeah, the computer picks answer that I didn't pick on my run. So usually she will try to defend herself. I went a bit, okay, let's get on with it, or something like that. Like, I didn't even pretend to lie to entertain the idea that, okay, no, this is not my RV. I got it from a guy at the Bronx. I wince at the blatant lie, shooting Torque a questioning glance, but he just rolled his yellow eyes with impatience. Well, there was an attempt, I suppose.
I earnestly hope you're not taking me for a fool. That would be a misstep of monumental proportion, unlike anything these walls have witnessed.
Out of the corner of my eye, I catch a glimpse of the Tremere regent, silently mouthing what happens to be "I beg to differ," and it would be hard to disagree. Suddenly, the air is thick with tension. I catch Torque's eye as he looks at me. Khadir has had long of the girl's attempt to weave her falsehood. A curved sword swiftly materialized in his hand, plucked out of thin air.
I'm not here for your games, little Raven. Choose your next words carefully.
I would argue this other lunacy clears her of charges. She couldn't even cobble together a feeble story, much less orchestrate clandestine trading of this magnitude. And yarn spinning is supposed to be your clan's forte, isn't it?
Last chance, my dear. Is there anything of substance you wish to add?
There's a certain toughness in her demeanor. I look at her intently, her struggle as clear as the first snow of winter. I wonder if there's more to her that meets the eye. Heightened senses gauge her intention, listen to the voices. Nah. Let's play aspects. Try to remain motionless, still as a shadow on a windless night, and fix my gaze on the Raven. Her eyes look beyond what's visible, distant, deep. Yet the only thing I manage to discern is a profound internal conflict, hidden beneath the surface.
Guess there's not much point in playing dumb, huh?
Couldn't agree more.
Alright then. So, I indeed am tangled up in this little blood trafficking operation, playing a pretty crucial part, if I do say so myself, though I guess not everyone's on board with that assessment. I do the logistic, pushing merchandise through a series of dark web channels. With every eyebrow in the room goes up, with the exception of Julia, whose lips curve into a slight smirk. All totally secure and anonymous. No slips about, you know, our thing. Everything masked by the hustle of more mundane black market. No way we're blowing the masquerade. We deal in stored blood, as you might have caught on. Not just any blood, though. Our mercs is a little jazz up, thaumaturgically enhanced to be exact. It's the only way they would work, as you're well aware. Right, of course. Oh, and we also deal in, let's just call them family treasures. But honestly, that's more like a side gig than anything serious. But we're extremely careful about picking our clients, and really thorough when it comes to making deals. You know, the traditions and all. I was sure we'd never even come close to breaking them. At least, that's what he led me to believe.
The girl's voice drops, heavy with faux drama. I had a hunch there were some dodgy dealings in this more secret ventures. To deny that would be a flat-out lie, but let's be real. I'm way outside the inner circle to have a real sway in those sparks in this enterprise. An uneasy silence sweeps over the room for a brief moment. Theatricality is at best. His enterprise? Is this a joke? Exactly who is this he you're referring to? I presume you knew it was my sires who's masterminding it all. The room is soon filled with muted whispers after the shocking revelation. I refrain from joining the murmuring crowd just yet.
Indeed, how fortuitous. And your sire would be... There's only one other notable rogue in the city who comes to mind. Someone dipping in and out, known for their shifty natures, of which I'm somewhat aware. Reynard Castle.
You nailed it, Chief. Sir. Another brief moment of silence gets interrupted by Julia, who decides to throw her 2 cents into the fray.
Can practically hear the cogs turning in your head, Kadir. What's your take on it? Truth be told, it does add up, though I hadn't pegged more as a con artist than a trafficker. Then why hasn't he been apprehended yet, Sheriff? Are you secretly endorsing activities that impede the Circle System's operation? For your own good, Payne, I'll pretend I didn't catch that. Or would you care to question my dedication to our cause again? Be warned, my patient wears extremely thin these nights.
Can we put this bickering on hold, at least for the moment? One more thing. Reynard and I had a meeting lined up with a client a few hours back, but he never showed up. In the whole year and a half I've been in this gig, he'd never just vanished like this.
And what do you make of it?
To be honest, I'm not sure. But now that I think of it, he's changed over the past month, become a lot more erratic than usual. Ready for my theory? I'm pretty sure he caught wind of your lot and decided to feed me to the flames while he made a run for it.
I can't quite explain it, but there's an authenticity in how she constructs her story. Not every single word, perhaps, but the overall intent feels genuine, honest.
Shut up! Liar, liar, pants on fire.
I believe she truly doesn't know where Castle is, and it's tearing her apart.
Let her burn! She'll burn you to a crisp like a piece of trash.
Kadir's approach. It doesn't sit still right with me. Not the way he envisions it.
She is the key.
An unwitting pawn betrayed by her master. A likely story, suitable for the stage indeed. But in this context, this just will not do it all. If I may... Damn it, Pádraic, don't go getting yourself into... I ignored Torque, but to my future detriment, most likely. In an instant, the top echelon of New York's kindred fixed their eyes onto mine with unmistakable hostility. Since you've already disrupted the proceedings, you might as well say your piece, mediator. Very well, then. I am inclined to believe her, at least in the aspect more significant to the interest of our allies. As ever, your assertion remains devoid of substance. My guy's advice is pretty much always on point. The track record speaks for itself. I give Torque a grateful look, but he doesn't return it. I am definitely in for tongue-lashing later. That much is clear. The sheriff has a point that seems to hold water. Her sire might just be the one at fault. She's essentially a non-entity, is she not? A nobody that slips under the radar until by a stroke of sheer bad luck, she got caught red-handed. Do excuse the pun. When you give it another look, the evidence you have collected should indeed back up that claim quite convincingly. And what grounds your intricate evaluation, precisely? My judgment is shaped by your vast experience and simply tempered by resonating intuition. It changes little regarding the consequences she must face for her complicity in her sire's crimes. How about I serve you Reynard's head on a silver platter in exchange for mine, unscathed on my shoulders? Kadir glares at the girl with a look that could kill. Something that happens far too often these nights. But at least he lets her speak. I know all these secret spots in this town, plus the spot he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
I'm wired into his network, his contacts, I got his playbook down, and I can stay one step ahead of him with ease. Just give me a chance, and we all just be thanking our lucky stars by the end. A quiet introspection befalls the room. It is apparent that opinions are split. Yet gradually it seems the consensus is shifting in favor of the girl's proposal. Give myself an imaginary pat on the back. I have reservation about this daring proposition. Consider the potential fallout if this entire situation spirals out of control. Khadir throws up his hands, clearly having reached a decision. I cannot suppress a smirk at how I disrupted their plans with barely a flick of my wrist. Quite the mediator I am, really.
Capturing this whelp proved hardly a challenge. I wouldn't sweat the idea of catching her again. What's more, entrusting her with Castle revolves two issues at once. It swiftly eliminates her presence and enables us to prioritize genuine concerns. But someone has to keep a constant watch over her. Valerie, perhaps one of yours?
How about him? It takes me a moment to notice the Ravnos girl pointing directly at me, and even longer to realize the implication. Stupid, 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 stupid! My eyes quickly sweep over the council members, catching their faint smirk on their face. This cannot. Surely you're not considering... Oh, this could play out quite favorably, I must admit.
Quite favorably indeed.
Bollocks.
Very well.
Pádraic Conroy.
Okay, sorry. There's a problem with my mic.
The wire needs to be... What the fuck is wrong with my mic? Okay.
I wish I have somebody who can tell me if when my mic is working or not. Surely you're not considering this could be quite favorably, I must admit. Oh, we already been to this parts like bollocks. Not that it matters. I realize as soon as Khadir redirects his gaze to me.
Your responsibility is to ensure she fulfills the assignment within 4 nights, starting now. Any slip-ups on her end will reflect on your record as well. Do we have an understanding?
I nod in resignation. Clearly, the situation has moved beyond my control now. Stupid little Paddy! Fucking moron! 4 nights. As long as... Not long at all. Yet they stretch out like an eternity ahead of me. This arrangement might also hamper my visit to Veritra.
Now, back to where we were.
I suppose all I can do is grit my teeth and do my best to track Castle down. The sooner I get down to it, the faster I'll be able to return to my own agenda. And I doubt the girl will be much help. Unless, of course, the Ravnos trickster turns out to be a wild card. Up in the air, main quest. If I let the Ravnos girl out of my sight, things will get proper unpleasant for me. She's a true hitch in my giddy-up, complicating my dealings with Veritra. Let's just hope she doesn't prove as troublesome as I anticipate. I leave Elysium with my mindset. The Ravnos girl sighed loudly with the relief when the door slammed shut behind us. Unnecessarily, of course, but she is still young and some old habits die hard, such as grimacing to oneself while deep in thought. I'm sure a hustler like her would like to think that she's like a blank canvas, mysterious and impossible to read. But she is, in fact, the exact opposite. I can tell the very trajectory of her mind. Just from the furrowing of her brow and the set of her jaw. How she hates the Camarilla for what they are now and how they act, how pleased she is to have seemingly conned them, and how displeased she is to be stuck with me. It takes two to dance this tango of contempt. Keep making that face at me and it might just stick that way. Even though even ever thought about gouging your eyes as a solution? I cannot tell if she's making a convoluted allusion to the Bible or just saying the first thing that comes to her mind. Either way, she sounds like a petulant child. Of course she is. Very well. The child treatment it is. I was explicitly told to keep my eyes on you, to watch over you, and need be even look out for you. That's quite a vision-centric assignment, wouldn't you say? Do what you will, but know that my job would be a whole lot more pleasant. Sorry, if you work with me here. Shame no one asked me to make your job easy. Shame indeed. She shooks me a defiant glare and whirls around, stomping away, and I feel an exasperated sigh escaping my stagnant lungs. I feel certain my own old habits will rise from the dead over the next 4 nights. But we have no time for tantrums right now. Speak her language, remind her of the danger, or threaten her politely. Let's speak her language. Look, the sun's about to rise. We can pick up this little dance of ours again tomorrow night, okay? Let's get moving. My haven isn't even in this part of town. Yeah, this is what she said to us last time. I am an excellent dancer. Hold up. What do you mean your haven? It seems communicating with her will not be as easily initially assumed. A very stubborn young woman, this Callie. Alright, hear me out. I get that this old thing is a bit of pain for the both of us. Trust me, I have no more desire to mind you what you have to be minded. But let's rewind for a second. You were the one who picked me out at Elysium and got us both into this mess. If I let you out of my sight, things will get proper unpleasant for me. And believe me, I am speaking from experience. Step closer and use my full height to tower over her in an honest-to-God attempt at intimidation. But you will be torn to shreds by Khadir's hounds before you could say oops. They'll sniff you out sooner rather than later. That is a stone-cold fact. Judging by her confused face, however, I do not think my tactics are working. So how about we skip the theatrics and you tag along to a place I know is safe? We can regroup and figure out our next move come nightfall. Go to her car, her baby, her precious. I stop mid-sentence, grab my ring and spin and spin and spin, hitting 20 every time until the voice calmed down. She wants to go to her RV. Let her do it. Do it, 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 do it. No, your RV is completely off the table. Surprise blooms on her face, but she reins in it skillfully. Not a problem. I got a solid 7 other hideouts. I hide a smirk. I'm sure you do. If they haven't seen your shadow in the last 6 months, I wager they no longer exist. Mind sharing where they were? It's an honest question, once I ask only because of the recent upheaval in New York. But she does not take kindly to it. Hello? Is this the Secret Service speaking? Like, I would spill my shit to you. Just so you know, my network is sprawling and meticulously crafted. Think global spiderweb. This time I couldn't hide my mocking smile even if I wanted to. Yeah, global spiderweb. Like... Sounds more like you're the fly caught within, believing it's your very kingdom. Meanwhile, the fat spider at the center awaits its chance patiently. Yeah, keep channeling your inner Keats. Gosh. She's hasn't even read a lick of Keats. She very clearly hasn't even read. Be yourself, be firm, give her the illusion of choice. In any case, we need a place to rest and my haven is the safest choice. I would really hate to resort to violence, but don't presume I won't drag you there if the needs arise. It's your call. Every time I don't get a say, it somehow turns out to be my call? Come on, what do you think I'll do, run away? Obviously. She makes a sad, pouty face. Oh, ye of little faith, would have tried to bail on you on Christmas night. Your sticking around might just count as a true holiday miracle. And no, I don't bank on holiday miracles. If you are under the impression I'll let you out of my sight, then you are not paying attention. So come on, let's not dilly-dally. She grimaces at that, but I'm not sure whether it's about me keeping a permanent eye on her or my choice of words. But I do not care. Alright, after you. Can almost smell the scheming of the Ravnos girl, Callie, as we make our way through the night streets of New York City. She glances at me from time to time, as if searching for an opportunity. Thankfully, my voice leave me be for the moment, but I still keep fiddling with my ring. Emotional support, I think they call it these days. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see her rummaging around her belt bag, but I pay her no mind. I doubt anything in there would pose a genuine threat to me. Besides, the longer she concentrates on something aside from antagonizing me, the better. I hope she will spend the rest of our journey together in blessed silence. Unfortunately, almost immediately she clears her throat in an obvious attempt to catch my attention, but when I turn to her expecting a mocking sneer, she looks almost embarrassed. So, what I'm trying to say is, oh, I'm sorry for getting snappy earlier. Rough night, you get it? That is an unexpected turn of events, to say the least. I get it. Are you alright, or are you serious? No. I know what's happening next. You sound genuine. And you sound painfully surprised. I'm trying to apologize here, you know. So, how about we start over? Name's Callie. With that, she extends her hand. I let it hover in the frigid air for a moment, not because I don't intend to take it, but because I'm flabbergasted by, and slightly suspicious of, this sudden contrition. But her eyes are wide and innocent, so in the end I reach out and shake her hand. Pádraic Conroy. To my confusion, she clasps my hand with both of her and shakes it with near zealous vigor. Nice to meet you, Pádraic. Fancy seeing a magic trick? What? I beg your pardon? She flashes me two things, a nasty smile and my dice ring, hidden in the palm of her hand. I can feel my stomach sink and turn to ice, as if Vitae was evaporating from my body. But before I can lunge at her to retrieve my ring, she takes a big swing. Want your present ring back? Then fetch! She hurls the ring into the distance. I hear it clink off a wall. I knew this was gonna happen. Like, she wants to shake my hand, she's going for the ring. She hurls the ring into the distance. I hear it clink off a wall. I'm compelled to dash toward that sound. I forget about the council assignment, Ravnos, everything, desperately feeling around for my ring. I vaguely hear her rapidly receding footstep, but I don't care. The voices stay mercifully quiet while my mind is both fogged over and focused like a rapier. I need to find my ring. I need. Then I actually look down at my hands to see that there is nothing missing. All of my rings, the dice one included, remain in their respective places, as if they have never ever been touches. That's the magic trick! The relief that washes over me is enough to put the fire of rage that threatens to consume me whole. I straighten the look and look thoughtfully into the sky. It has indeed been a neat magic trick. It might be time for me to show one of my own. I should have been more careful, vigilant. Should have known she would be unrepentant with her trickery. I should not have underestimated her. She's dead. It's your fault, stupid fucking baddie. Callie's escape is complete. Even her footsteps have turned into silence and disappeared into the mess of hardened walk-over snow. How careless of you, Pádraic. Well, no matter. Even though I am still somewhat rattled by the prospect of losing my ring, a young runaway neonate should prove no trouble. Let the hunt begin. I let the smell of the air and vibration bouncing off buildings guide me through the many narrow, almost empty streets. I wander around for a few minutes, eyes darting and ears straining until I finally catch it. There is a commotion in an alleyway. Unseen passage, let them be blind, sounds of death, quiet as the night itself. Let them be blind. In a fraction of a second, I blink out of existence, leaving not even footprints behind. I make sure my gait is steady, but silent as I approach the alleyway and peer inside. What I behold is carnage in the making. A group of hunter thugs have Callie encircled, screaming in invective and gearing for an attack. Oh no, she's gonna croak! Don't let her die! Save her now! I spin my ring and silence the voices who keep trying to lead me to my doom. I don't even need to notice that this hunter cell is much too small and inexperienced to pose a real danger to a kindred. Simply ignoring my voices will lead to a positive outcome, as it always does. I haven't made my name as the one with all the answers for nothing. I tune my weakness into a weapon. I spend my time sniffing out the meaning behind the drivel with which the voices poison my mind. This time the meaning is clear. Callie is not in danger, yet I decide to observe for a moment. Little Raven is strong! She's not a prodigious or experienced fighter. Her movement lacks restraint and precision with all the ways her limbs flail around, uncoordinated. Thankfully, her undead strength and speed make up for what she lacks in skill. Otherwise, she might hurt herself before the hunters get to her. Observing the combat, I see the moment when true danger comes. There is one hunter who has evaded Callie's perception. The man kicks her to the ground, straddles her, and raises a sharpened stake above her heart, ready to strike. She has no time to react, but she doesn't need to. I dash toward the hunter and encircle his neck with my hands in a tight grip. I twist it all the way around, reminiscent of some horror movie owl, and then dropping carelessly to the ground. With an oh-so-casual demeanor, I retrieve the stake and toss it lazily a few times. You've lost something. Piss off! I believe thank you is the phrase you're looking for. Should be glad I fetched the ring in record time. She's lying on the ground, looking grumpy and dejected. I can't blame her. It seems it really is not her night. So, I extend a hand towards her and she glares at it angrily for a while before pushing herself up onto her feet. I grace her with a wry smile. Why don't you hold on to the stake? Consider it a memento of the time you nearly got taken out by a few hunters and needed my intervention. A slice of humble pie, if you will. She grudgingly takes the stake, avoiding my gaze, and tucks it into her belt bag. For the record, I had it under control. But wait, hunters? Who else? Control? Sure. How about a magic word? Like, I know the answer is who else because she thinks it's the sad. But I want to try a different dialogue this time. I'm sure you did. However, I am yet to hear a single thank you. She stares at me resentfully. I simply return her silence. Thank you. You're very welcome. And yes, those were hunters. You seriously didn't think it was the sad, did you? I fail to suppress a chuckle at that ridiculous notion that she just scowls into her further. Do not take it personally, but if it were the sad you were up against, you had been taken out before you even realized there was a threat. They're too well organized, too professional. These guys, however, I sweep my hand around, gesturing towards the fallen hunters. They haven't quite mastered the element of surprise. Still, running into that many in one place, Khadir mentioned something about a locust swarm back at Elysium, but come on, twice in one night? That's more than just bad luck. She sounds truly morose, as if adversity were not a familiar foe. I guess some kindreds are lucky, but this time she's also correct. Indeed, New York is nowhere near as safe for our kind as it once was. This is not your typical hunter behavior. It's an anomaly, and its source is still unknown. Until we figure it out, I strongly advise against sprinting like a demented cheetah, biting whatever's within arm's reach, or showing off your unique powers. For your own safety, assume you're under constant surveillance. Choose your moments wisely. She winces and rolls her eyes, looking bored as if listening to a lecture at school. But I can see the cogs turning in her brain. Perhaps she has grasped the depth of danger awaiting the kindred in New York City. Which tells me I should only drive my point further. And you might want to retake your attempt to ditch me. I might not arrive in time to save you next time you get in trouble. She rolls her eyes again, but nods. All right, maybe sticking with you might have some benefits. I cock my head thoughtfully. Am I hearing things, or was that a compliment? She snorts inelegantly and waves her hand. Don't let it go to your head, and don't expect a repeat. How? About that haven of yours? Where Caitiff lies low. The dawn is upon us, and the streets are teeming with all manners of peril. I should take that unruly raven to the place I know is safe. My haven. The walk feels endlessly long. Callie is quiet, either fatigued or deep in thought. I relish the silence because I anticipate many loud battles ahead. Before I know it, we're already here. This is our stop. Let's head inside. Dawn is nearly upon us. She winces, shaken out of her reverie, while I step through the door first and leave it open for her. Even though I don't look back, I keep my wits about me in case she makes a run for it. She does not, thankfully. I'm glad my small sign of trust was received favorably. Or maybe she's just too exhausted for tricks. Home, sweet home. Looking around my haven, I realize that it might not be what one would call socially acceptable. I haven't had guests in, frankly. I don't remember ever inviting anyone over. I seldomly flustered, but when Callie cast a judgmental look over the books, papers, random notebooks, and notes covering every inch of every available surface, I suddenly find myself discomposed, agitated even. I rush to clean up, picking up an armful of things along the way. Make yourself at home. The couch is all yours. I make sure that all the shutters are ready for daybreak. What's with the paper explosion? You fancy yourself a writer or something? No. Not anymore, anyway. Callie cranes her neck, trying to decipher some of my notes, and I let her be. My research is far too extensive and complicated to explain it one night. When she shoots me a disappointed frown, I just look at her blankly, and she caves. I wasn't going to. What vibe? Or you got a key 9? What constitute a history buff vibe? She waves her hand vaguely. You know, all that dark academia shit you've got going on? Shirt excluded. I don't know what's up with that, and I'm not sure you do too. I give her a faint smile, if only she knew. Get some rest. We've got a busy night ahead of us. She collapses into the stray sheets of paper on the couch and is out in a matter of seconds. I make sure the door is closed, put away the more interesting books in my connection, and then I follow her lead. The deep void of slumber welcomes me with suffocating arms the way it does every morning, and I let myself be strangled to sleep by the comforting darkness. 6 months ago. Ah! Hush now. Hush. You're in good hands here. We are nearly through. Just a few moments more. Veritra. Oh, show some backbone. It is a privilege to be one of the chosen. This is my blessing that I am bestowing upon you. Vicissitude is a fine art. and you are the clay to which I give shape. A dash of discomfort is but a small fee for such grandeur. Yeah, vicissitude is one of the Tsimitshi's unique discipline. That would be fledgling, neonate. Vicissitude. Many dragons specialize in vicissitude, a power which enables them to reshape their own bodies as well as those of their subject and unwilling victims. They can sculpt or distort skin, muscles, and even bones, resulting in forms that are sometimes disturbingly beautiful but often monstrous. Kindred who practice vicissitude create a range of modification, from practical body tools to expressive ornamentations. So, yeah. This is why the Tsimisi are always, we're always on the side of Sabat until they lost the world 20 years ago. Like, most of them are misunderstood artists. Now, silence. My concentration must remain unbroken. You would not wish for an error, one that misshapes something as vital as your glabella, would you? There are no marker for glabella. ... Now, let me take a good look at you. Oh, it's Spain's servant. Of course. Oh, wait. It's either she captures Spain's servant and now he's like a spy, or this is basically one of her own subject, and then she make her shapeshift into the servants and they just did a swap. Interesting. Perfect. Hauntingly alike. Yeah. So, Pain Servant is change. Now I want to see glabella. The area of skin between the eyebrows and above the nose.